That was a while ago. So I was actually born in Newport Beach. So I'll just go through this here. Just for me, I bought this business 9 years ago, but before I bought it, for like the hair club, I was a member. Before I bought the business, I was a club member all the way back in 2011. So I've had the business now for 9 years. It seems that's a long time. But I've been sailing since 1977. I learned to sail on the Chesapeake area and then sailed along the east coast of Florida, Vero Beach area. My father was a charter member of the Fort Pierce Yacht Club down there in the early 80s, and we did a lot of sailing and cruising in the Bahamas. So had to adjust to sailing here on the West Coast because it's a bit different. We try to do a lot of relaxed atmosphere and things like that, and supportive, like with Bob, Peter and Scott. Scott Ashton, they're actually club members as well. So they actually sailed with me up to Charlotte Harbor just a few weeks ago, just to ride along with me. So we try to have a nice, relaxed sort of atmosphere. I'm not here to try to get your money. Not here to try to sell you anything. Try to do a cooperative thing. We will get prices for things later, but that's not what I'm trying to do. Like as Bob kept saying, getting people in the water. That's what we want to do. So I am committed to supporting sailing in the community. We talked about the program for the youths. I tried to work for them years. I wanted to put kids on boats. So just the other thing for me is I'm an assistant principal at Barron Carter High School. So it's a bit of a busy week. So it's real. I'll be doing this tomorrow for 5 hours to students. So, because of that, I can't work directly with students because it's a conflict of interest because it's the business. So I like to work. I've tried to work with the sailing community. It's like, listen, you got some students that want to do it. You take them out. I'll give you the boat. That sort of graduation thing. Because my first sailboat, the first thing I sailed on was a 1977 27-foot Catalina. My first memory is being in the Chesapeake, leaning against the lifeline, and only seeing water. Because those of you who have Catalinas, they're not super racing boats. She had an extra tall mast, so my dad was real slippery like that. Like, sure, we'll race you. And yeah. Bit terrifying memory there. All right, so Island Dreams. This is a vessel. This is our bareboat vessel. She is a 31-foot Catalina. Depends on where you look at. The length on deck is 31 feet. Then they say it's 32 something. It's 31 feet. 4-foot draft. That's just weight displacement, things like that. I didn't know how much you'd want to know that. I did put the rating up there. Her speed is 6.9 knots. I can tell you, I just went over 7 the other day. It was a bit windy. 27 horsepower motor, 27-gallon fuel. So it is something that some people take overnight. I sort of say it's like camping. It's a nice vessel, but an overnight, it's a little bit more camping. It's a little bit more, you're relaxed for that one compared to my other vessel. Roller furling main, roller furling jib. I do have a spinnaker. Which, Bob, did you have a spinnaker when you were?
You were just getting it worked out.
Yeah, that one's gone. And then I got a new roller furling.
Okay.
So now we're putting a sock on this one because it's been a process. Everything with the boat is a process, right? And process also involves
money.
Yes, absolutely. I have parts that I no longer going to be using that are brand new almost. I do have a truck plotter, a wonderful new auto helm. It's really good. The anemometer, a small bimini. It's barely there. It's just so you don't get burnt. Seat cushions, and I do have enough Coast Guard life jackets. Adults and children, I have over 8 of them. Actually, one of my captains told me I need to probably thin it out because I think I've got more than 8 right now. But down below, I realized going through this when I looked at this picture. This is probably one of my original pictures. I think I need new ones for the website. So I actually have the big table back up, but it is a two cabin, one manual head. I love this vessel. Great boat going out there. When I say cabin, you walk in the forward cabin, it's a V-berth. There you go. You're not standing there and doing a lot of changing. There's have the aft cabin as well. So it is good for us. I know some people, I've got you folks who take it overnight, and I have another couple that takes it overnight every once in a while. So it is good for something like that, just not too far. So just hot water, everything, small refrigerator, things like that. So it is good for a full day. It's good if people want to take it overnight. But it's nice down below. A lot of times down below, of course, is when we have that summer weather pop through. And this is also on the website, things like that. So this is my new spinnaker. So, which got cut down a little bit, but that's my new one. She's only been up about 4 times, but it's my new spinnaker. We're gonna put a sock on it to make it a little easier to go up. And then I'm just going to, this was in Charlotte Harbor the other day. This is when I hit 7 knots. So I've got peaceful sailing videos, but this is more fun. This was this was sunrise. This is my reward because I sailed overnight from Naples up to Boca Chica. So I'd gone through the pass, and this is in Charlotte Harbor. So this is my reward for a night of motor sailing in like 6 knots of wind to getting up in the morning. The sun came. It was beautiful. I absolutely loved it. So thought I'd just share that because I like doing that. You always have sailing videos. Oops. So on my website right now, we have a bareboat option. Bareboat is when you're sailing without a captain, and I say that, but some people have different names for it. But that's what that is. When you take the boat out yourself, you can have up to 8 people on board for the bareboat. I'm letting you know I'm standing here, but I'm letting you know we're getting rid of that option. But I'll go into that more later. Like if somebody comes up and says, "Hey, I want to bareboat the boat for the day," and I don't know them, we're no longer doing that because we've had some issues. Some people, maybe great experience, but they've messed it up, but we're going to do a few different things. So all new bareboaters will have to go out for at least a 4-hour charter. It's a one-time thing where you just got the one time that I make sure that what you say you know, and things like that. Because I was sharing the story of the last person went out and did stuff that I'm just like, okay, I don't know what you did, but you just cost me money. So we're just doing that. So. The boat club, that's where we take experienced sailors, and we do take them out for that. We do have limited slots because what I'd like to do is make sure that people have the availability to go out. It's like, what's the sense in paying for something, and then you never get a spot out there that's always full. So I try to limit that as best I can. We have an online process. We don't have blackout dates for that. First come, first serve. The day's open, you got it. And I normally reach out in November and say, book your days now. Because as a former club member, I want to make sure those people are taken care of before anybody else. So there are no time slots. So when I did this boat club, I went to Miami first because I wanted, I looked at slots over there. I didn't find this one first. Her website wasn't as good as mine, so I couldn't find it. So when I went to Miami, if you wanted to book it for a full day, it's 3 slots. So you had to pay for 3 different slots to get it, or for an overnight you did. If you wanted it for a regular full day, you had to pay for 2 slots. For us, it's like when you book it for the day, you have it for the day, from sun up until a half hour before sunset. Once you gain enough experience, you can actually keep it up for sunset. That's the thing we were able to start a few years ago. And we do have half the options, but that's not available in the boat club just because the rate is so low in the boat club that a half day option becomes difficult. Overnights are available. Again, I know I really sold the overnights on this boat. It is fun. It's just I try to keep it realistic because I also have a 47-foot sailboat that's a little bit more glamping. So this boat's not as much like that. This boat can go all the way from, I actually had one person, they were taking to the Dry Tortugas that it didn't work out because of weather, but it can go all the way up to Venice Beach and down to the Keys and Dry Tortugas. I do have an air conditioning on board, but I have a boater's air conditioning on board. I have a window unit in the back cabin because that cost me $300, and they wanted to charge me $10,000 to put a marine air conditioning unit on. So I did the $300 option. So when you do the boat club, and what I'd work with this club as well is once you're set, it's yours for the day. You're going to go down and you're going to set the boat up. You wouldn't see a captain unless we happen to be on the dock. That's why the price is a little lower, because you go down, you set it up, you set the cushions up. It takes about half hour, depending on how long you do it. Some people can do it faster. Depends on how long you talk, because you go on a dock, you're always talking, right? You're catching up on the scuttlebutt. You set it up, you take it out, and then when you come back, you clean it up just like you would your own boat, put it away the same way you found it. Salsa always seems to be an issue. You have salsa up there and it always gets on the deck. So for any of these, it's required to have a 4-hour captain sail first, where I verify the seamanship practices and docking, because 75% of the issues are people don't know how to dock, don't do well. I have one person that was a boat club member since I was there. He's a great sailor. Actually, he just dropped out, and then now he just cruised another one. In his docking, he just never got the docking done right. But he can sail great. So pricing, right now our bareboat, this is the regular stuff. A bareboat for a half day is $450, for a full day it's $700. We have our 5-day packages for the club, which is pretty full right now, but it's $22.50, $22.50 for a 5-day package. And I normally run this for 18 months. I've never told somebody that your time is up, you lost that day. I renew for $0 at that point, because I don't want to take anybody's money. I'm not a very good businessman that way. So it ends up being $450 a day. 10-day package ends up being $375 a day. However, if you do a 5-day package and then you go by day number 4, you're like, you know what? I'm going to want to do the 10-day. You can upgrade for free. That way you don't miss out on that. The 5-day package was just for people who weren't really sure if they wanted it. They didn't have to make that big outlay. Most people do the 5-day and end up bumping the 10-day. Agreements for 18 months, and I do renewal incentives, which is basically when you renew, you get a free day. So that's how our club packages work for people who end up wanting to do the club, because I know we have, I think, 2 members that are in the club right now. So I looked at what I could do to try to work with Gulf Coast Sailing. Also honoring my club members, because again, for me, my club members are most important clients I have. So I would do a thing where I could take skippers. We do have, again, a couple of people who are already in it who don't need to go to that program. If you want to go with Peter or Scott right now, they could take you out, no worries. But if there was a group that wanted to get together, then you could combine that. I wouldn't have to do each person. If there's like 4 or 5, up to 6 of you, I can only take up to 6, and all 6 wanted to get sort of checked out on the boat, then you can split the cost of that sail, and all 6 of you could do it. And if there's 6 of you, then I would do that one myself. Some of my captains do some. So this is what I'm looking at for sailing offers for Gulf Coast Sailing. To try to get you all going is, I would offer the 5-day sailing rate. So that breaks down to $450 a day. So I would give you the same rate as our $550 sailing day, and that's for a full day. A full day on the water for us is more than 8 hours, depending on time of year. If it's January, it's a little tough. Okay, if it's June, well, you got a lot of time, but sailing might not be as good. So that is a full day sailing, again, from sunrise to a half hour before sunset. That would be off season for you, and I'll go through what season is. Seasonal sales, I would add an additional $100. And the reason I did that verbiage is because I already told my club that I'm not moving the rates up next year, but should I move up, whatever the rate is, it would always go up 100. Is everybody tracking that? Okay. My season, the dates I'm counting in season are Thanksgiving week, December 20th, January 3rd, and February and March. You know, I was talking to Bob down here. If you have an event that's in February and March and it's booked out long enough like it's a whole event for Gulf Coast Sailing, I would work with that as well. So if there's a time you want to do, get checked out, or even if you know Scott or Peter are going to go, or Bob, actually, I know you said you might need to get checked out again, but we wouldn't worry about that a whole lot. It would be $450 a day. You could check that out. Okay? Anybody have any questions on this piece? I know I'm sort of going quick, but at least I'm not talking about dress code and don't be tardy. So, anyways, like I said, so as I was a club member, and oh, by the way, I did my disclaimer at the bottom. All rates don't include tax. So, again, like I said, these are just the overall I'm looking at. There is good summer sailing. I know it can be tough. I've had some good summer sailing because as a teacher, that's when I got to sail the most. So, all right. Island Dreams, the first boat I sailed here. This is my baby. Sorry, this is Island Time. She's my 47-foot Beneteau. She's not available for bareboat, even if I wanted to, because she's my baby. Insurance says no, so that's my backup on it. So she is 47 feet. She's got the bulb keel. She's a bit heavier, a bit more sail area. Hull speed is 8.87 knots. I did 9.5 off of Marco in May. It was really nice. I've actually gone faster than that, but that was current assisted. It was 9.5 knots, and that was reefed. It was, and actually the person on board was a club member years ago with me, and now he doesn't club anymore. He just sails on this boat with me. So it was awesome that I had him on the boat with me. I love sailing. That was just a wonderful day. I actually had my captain on board that day with me, and I was going to work down below. I basically took over the charter, and the captain was like, am I working or what? So he got paid to have me sail and have a great sailing thing. off of actually Keewaydin. So this is different for this boat in a discussion. If you're ever looking what the discussion you like to have about boats is, the difference between the positives and negatives of hanked on versus roller furling. I can tell you that this boat was a roller furling. If when you're looking at this picture, that is a roller furling main. We don't have that anymore. We have it hanked on for different reasons. And so I'm trying to learn the positives and negatives myself. I hung on to the roller furling for a long time, but for some issues we ended up going hanked on. So it does have a hanked on main. Everybody know what a hanked on main is? That's an old term.
Regular.
It's a regular main.
A fully battened main.
Yes, there you go. That's another one, a fully battened main. There's another one for it. But that's one that's attached to your mast, and you're going to pull up.
Halyard.
You're going to use the halyard instead of pulling it out. So fully battened would probably be a better explanation as well, right? I do have a big spinnaker on this boat. Chart plotter, auto helm, everything going on there. Much larger bimini area, much larger deck space, and a life raft on this one. And this was the Bahamas, not this summer, but the summer before. Sitting right over here is my wife, really upset that I'm doing this, because normally when it heels that much and she's in the boat, I back off because she doesn't like it heeling that far. She still thinks it's going to flip. But we were doing a 35-mile crossing across the tongue from Exumas to Eleuthera, and I'm like, babe, we have to get there. I can't slow down. So she's not happy. So that was a beautiful sailing day. Whoops. So we wanted to go quick. This is just down below the dinette area. You see some stuff on the deck and here as well. Down below, she is a 3-cabin model with a manual head for the aft cabin and forward in suite with an electric head. 240 gallons of water, 2 22-gallon holding tanks, standing shower in the forward, so it's a little bit separate. And we have the regular one in the back. Dinette, I mean, she's got everything you need. Like I said, it's a bit more glamping, a bigger grill, 2 air conditioning units and a generator because it's Florida, right? So we take her to the Bahamas. This is when we take on our cruises and things like that. Every once in a while I've had somebody go, hey, we want to take Island Dreams to the Keys in June, and they're paying for that in overnight, and I go, no, we're going to give you a deal on the big boat because you're not going to go down there. It's hot. Yeah. So, and we did have some guests that were on this boat actually for the wedding, so that was nice. All right, not available for a bareboat, insurance restriction, captain charter. So a regular 4-hour captain charter on this boat is $550 for a half a day. We do have 2-hour and 3-hour options, but I was looking at, when I was doing this, I was thinking of you going out for your events and for your day events and things like that. So so these are our normal prices, $550 and $800 plus tax and gratuity. So what I'm looking here is saying that I didn't really explain that well. $550 plus gratuity off season, that's for a full day. So that's about $250 off. Again, same time frame. If you wanted to do it during season, I'd bump that $100, so it'd be $650, which is still about $150 off. If you're a Gulf Coast sailing member. So that's what I'm willing to try to work with that. I will work up, because again, I was thinking, just literally I wasn't thinking, Bob was talking about they might want to do something small, something shorter. I always say sunsets are 75% of my business. People like to watch that ball drop. Of course, I'm like, there is a big difference between standing on the beach or sitting on the beach in a chair and watching the sunset and being out there. It is a different experience. So I will get that out and I'll send it out. You want to send it to you or send it to Jerry? Okay, I'll send it to you. Work that up there. Just try to get you out in the water there. And I will do I don't do seasonal rates normally, but I'm going to do it with the club. Just because most people probably live down here full time, so I'll work that out. So when it comes to island time, so it's a little different. Like I said, you can't bareboat that, but we have done things like actually when I was a boat with Peter and Scott, I was actually down below because I cooked them breakfast or I cooked them dinner. I can't remember what I cooked. I was down below doing something and they jibed. I'm a little nervous on jibes, everyone knows, and they flat out, they just jibed, and I'm like, wait, what? And And I'm like, okay, they got this. I don't have to worry about it. So that's what it's like if you decide, like, okay, we want to go out and do a race, you want to do full day sailing, a captain would be on board. He'd help you, he'd have to move it in and out of the dock for you, but literally, then he can sit down and watch you all do whatever you want to do, show you how to do it, so it wouldn't be that, the captain would run everything for you. I always look at this because I don't like captain charters when I was a customer. I don't want this guy on the boat. I want to do my stuff, right? So then I'm always like, well, I can see people being the same way, or maybe that was just me. But with this one, the captain will literally step aside and let you take over, and if you need help, he'll tell you how to do it. I've had, as customers, as captains, I reach out to customers and say, you get to participate as little or as much as you like. Same thing with here, so if you want to take over and show your skills in a race or do something like that, we're definitely willing to work with you on that. This rate isn't for an overnight, but I would work with you on that. And I don't know what that would be right now, but even if people are interested in doing it, but that's something I'd give a break for the Gulf Coast sailing. Same in line for the rates I gave you earlier. For both of them, there is just a charge for the dinghy. Just quite honestly, that's my time of towing it from North Naples down to the dock and putting it in and bringing it back. That's really more has to do with than the actual dinghy itself. It's just my time of doing that and paying the outrageous price at Naples Landings that they want you to park for a moment. So I think that is, that's the end of it there. So those are the two options. Again, like, I'm not trying to sell you something. This is just something work available for you on it to get you on the water, because I know same thing I've heard from Peter and Scott. So there always isn't time to get in the water. Is that free? Because I'm still trying to meet my business and stuff like that, but I do want to support sailing and get people out there as best I can. And if you have a question, if you have an offer, well, what if we try this? I'm all ears to try it out, especially in the off season. It's a little slower. We've been getting busier in the off season, but there's always times and days to get somebody out there. Anybody have any questions on that?
How many people do you allow on the big boat?
So with the captain charter, I'm limited to 6 guests. I can try to look at 7 and make somebody a mate. That's a little squirrely. There's a vessel called Sailboats Unlimited. They have a certified vessel. They carry more. So I try not to weasel through that, because some people play games. They'll do a bareboat and then hire the captain, which is sort of legal, but it's not correct. So if you have a company that does that for you, I'd be a little nervous about that. So, but yeah, normally that one's 6. So Island Dreams, you can really do 8 on it, but 8 people in Island Dreams is a bit more crowded. It's tight. So don't bring too much food. So Island Time, I've actually had 12 people on before, but that was my family and family friends. So that was okay. That was sort of spread out. So we were in the Bahamas for that one. So there's lots of different, like I said, there's lots of things we do. So, and I offer out to my club, like when I took the boats to Safe Cove up in Charlotte to have them, they both get hauled out of the water. I reached out to my club, say, hey, anybody want to go? We do an overnight. I'm not charging them, not paying them, even though I did cook a pretty good ribeye with mashed potatoes, some asparagus, béarnaise sauce. I mean, I took care of them, I think, right? And I cooked breakfast as well. So, but anyways, we're also going to be doing things to the Bahamas. We're not really doing our charters to the Bahamas anymore. Most people in the Bahamas are looking for a multi-haul, but we're going to be doing transports back and forth. So I always offer it out to my club members, so like anybody want to go for the ride along. So those things as well. If there's anybody interested, I can drop that out to the club as well, because we're going to start doing that a little bit more often. So it's a different sort of experience. Some people, I know that, again, keep talking about Peter and Scott and they're not here, but they want to get that experience, like going through the night, anchoring out, things like that, because it is a little nerve-wracking the first time. And when we pulled into, we had a beautiful sail up from Naples all the way up to Sanibel. We had the spinnaker running and we were doing pretty good, and then it dropped down to about 2 knots. We're like, okay, time the motor. And we're watching the storm as we get to Boca Chica, and we lost sight of a lot of things. I mean, I think we had visibility down to 100 yards, maybe a little less, lightning pretty close. It got to be a little, and it was a little newer for them. For me, I'm like, this is like Tuesday in the Bahamas in the summer, because in the Bahamas in the summer, that weather will roll through, it'll be perfect, and then it's bad, and 5 minutes later it's perfect again. So we had about 15-20 minutes of a little difficult. If you've ever been through Boca Chica, that is a narrow mark channel. and I hadn't been there for a while, so it got to be a little fun. Rain came down hard, wind came up to about 32 knots, and I mean, you know, it is what it is.
Still have the spinnaker up?
No, no, sir, no, I love that spinnaker. We had,
Sails
yeah.
down, motor
Yeah,
on,
we had the sails
motor in
down.
the
Well,
wind.
fortunately, we dropped it anyways because everything had died. So, and then that came up. What was nice is after that, once we got through, the wind was nice enough we got the sail again. So that was good. And we saw a shark attack.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we saw probably about a 3-foot ray jump and then immediately jump again. And so I told myself it's probably being chased by a shark. And then later on we saw the shark circle back around. Nice sized shark. I will not be going in that water because the next day I brought dreams and I had a shark swim by the boat and I'm like, I am not going in that water. No way, no how. So, but yeah, so anyway, so there are a lot of things like do again, getting people out. I'd love to get, you know, kids out sailing, getting people out in the water and things like that. You know, I have my busy season. I've got to make money for that. But this is something to do more. I might actually be looking at joining the club. My daughter just graduated high school, and that has been a big focus of my life. So now I'll just be my wife and I. So she swears I'm going to be on the boat all the time. No, I won't be, but that might be something I'll have a little bit more time to look at doing. So I know that was a lot and pretty quick because I am a fast talker. But yes, sir.
Explain what you mean about getting kids on the water. Are you talking about your high school kids who want to go sailing?
See, I can't take my high school kids, but if they're in a different group, if you get checked out for this and you've got a group of kids who want to go out there. But the big thing I want to do, like the students who are out there doing the dinghies, the dinghies and smaller boats, I'd approach one of those captains like, listen, you can take my boat. I'm not charging you. Take my boat. You learn it. Take my boat out. Then the kids who've like graduated, like, okay, like this is your reward. Because I mean, I love my 47-footer, but my 31-footer is a nice boat. And that's, you know, to a 10, 14, 15-year-old who hasn't been on a boat like that, that's still a reward. Is, you know, after you finish this and that, and you've graduated, you've gotten this stuff, we'll take you out on this boat and let you practice and work on your team skills. Because there's team skills when you're on a dinghy with 1 or 2 people. That's different when you're on, you know, on another boat as well. It's each thing's just a different skill to go up there. One person messes up on a tack. One person doesn't, you know, let out right or pull it in right, or the person at the helm doesn't do it, you know, all that teamwork stuff to go through there. So I'd love to do anything like that, you know, and I just wasn't successful work with them. I don't know why. I don't know if they didn't like the look at me or thought I was trying to sell them something. Like, I don't want anything, you know, so.
But you have kids who'd like to go sailing, and I guess my question really is, would that be an opportunity for us to offer our boats to take the kids out?
I've had some, see, I can't even ask them because I have to be very careful about conflict of interest. There's like principals that have gotten fired for things like that. And so my boss, my wife, has been very clear to me because she's even higher up in the district than me. And she's very, very strict on that. Like, I think I could probably wiggle a little bit. She won't let me, so I have to do it a different path. So like, I couldn't do it, but like True could, even though it's my business. But because True's doing it and I'm not saying anything about it, that would work. Like, I can't even have one of captains do it. So if you did it through Gulf Coast Sailing and it just happens to be my boat, that's different than saying Island Sailing was doing something like that. And I think then I would not get in trouble with my boss and then my actual boss.
So we as a club could promote something at the school?
But yeah, might be able to do something like that, yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm just curious, you know, could you take that in a different direction? If your kids know that you're an accomplished sailor, could you do a classroom training for young people who might be not even within the school?
Because it would be promoting my business, even though because for me, I'm like, I could absolutely do a club at school. That would be so fun. Nope. Because even though I'm not charging them, you know, this and that, it's my business. And somehow, and because in the path, I can see a thing there of, well, so they'll like it, they'll go home and tell the mom and dad. Now the mom and dad does a charter where they're paying me to take them out. I can see, would I benefit from that financially? Yes, I could see that path. And
But then those kids get an A at school, and then he gets in trouble.
right. Well, no, they get out of detention because
Yeah.
right.
If you didn't have a business.
They got to clean the bottom. They got to jump in and clean the rudder. So that's why I try to do it, I was open to doing it in those ways with anybody else as the sort of the front of that one, and they have that, so, but whatever.
If you got 5 boats from Gulf Coast Sailing Club, you're not involved at all. And
Right.
you said this is gonna be Kids' Day. You can't orchestrate that. We're the people who are providing the boats.
You could orchestrate it and just take my boat. That's where it would be. I wouldn't touch it at all.
Why do we need your boat?
No, if you wanted to, only if you wanted, you wouldn't have to. It was like, for me, I was looking at, and I'm not trying to make this more difficult, but I was looking at when I see some of the kids on the smaller boats, when I see one like the 10-footers, I'm like, that's great, that's good experience, like, what a neat thing, and someone was like, oh, that's a neat boat, and a couple of them said that, so I'm like, well, why don't we be able to take them out? And so they had, and I hadn't talked to that, and there was one person, like, she was busy, and I just hadn't gotten back to them, they didn't seem super interested, or maybe thought I was trying to sell something. So, and I'm not. So they happy to do anything. So if you did have something with the kids, if you had grandkids, or something there, like, okay, they're doing the sailing class, maybe they, and at the end of it, if they want to do this, like, you've learned enough to go out with somebody, go out with Bob or Peter or something like that, or even one of my captains. But if they're doing it with a club member, then there's no money involved. I'm not losing any money. I'm just letting you take the boat for the day. So I'm totally open to anything like that.
Could you do a training at Sugden for whatever kids in your school knew that this is something of interest and it's free and?
I couldn't have my name attached to
The way I
it.
understand it is though, like if we as a club wanted to participate, we could put up a flyer, put it in whatever place, and say, come sail with Gulf Coast Sailing Club. And
Right.
We could
Yeah.
basically,
Yeah.
I don't know if the right word is market, because that sounds wrong, but if we could promote it with the children, tell us where they are.
Right, you'd be like a subcontractor basically
So we
for it,
could
yeah.
effectively do that, I think.
Yeah, is that what, it's just, I just can't directly get my hand in that pie.
Sure.
Because even on a donating basis, which is just, you get bureaucracy involved, and they just ruin everything. They ruin all the fun. Because my heart's in the right place, I'm not trying to make any money on it, and there are kids that would sail, there are kids that like that. Because for me, my dad used to, my dad was a great sailor, he used to do Sea Scouts, which is basically the Boy Scouts in the water. And I remember him doing that, and I'm like, I would so love to do that. I see the Boy Scouts when they go to the Keys in the summer and in the Bahamas, where there's like 10 kids on the boat sleeping on the deck. I remember those days, and I would love to do that. I'd love to do something like that and I can't. I've got one of my teachers is a really good marine biology teacher, and he takes kids to Rookery Bay and things like that. And like, well, I could take some of those kids out, and I can't do any of that. And I'm just like, I know the value of the things that I learned being on the water and doing those things growing up, and I'd like to do that. I can't directly do that, but I do offer the space for some group that wants to try to do that. Maybe that's the best way to explain it. Is I'm willing to work with something like that, because if you get a kid who's doing that, maybe they'll turn into a lifelong sailor. Maybe they'll do something like that. Maybe they'll get into it. So I just always offer that up.
So, I don't have a question, I'd like to follow up on just a couple of things. So I'm really glad that Jerry asked Rob to come out here tonight. I just wanted to say, so like, when we're trying to get our members on the water, right? So we've done like the 10,000 island days, right? We go out and rent a power boat for the day, and we get 6 or 7 people, and everybody splits the cost. That's exactly what we're thinking we can do with, especially Island Dreams, okay, the first boat that he presented. And you really undersold how fun that boat is, to be honest, because Michelle and I did the Bareboat Club for a while. We took it to Panther Key, we took it up to Fort Myers Beach, except the one time when he told us it was just too rough and he wouldn't let us go, and that was a good call. I didn't like it at the time, but it was a good call. But we did overnights on it, multiple overnights as well as days. But for regular day sailing, these are things that our club can do. And if people are willing to, if you want to do that, I got a thing in the newsletter now, just reach out to, I think it's like day sailing or chartering at gulfcoastsailing.com. Let us know that you're interested, and then we'll figure out how to put together a group to charter Island Dreams probably. And if we want a captain charter, then we can do Island Time. Okay, but I think these are great opportunities for our club to get members without boats out on the water for at least a day sail or sunset cruise or something like that.
And so, I'll just use my teacher voice really. But again, I know I put price up, things like that, but if there's ever a question, let me know, because I do want to support the sailing community. I hear people say, well, sailing's not good down in Southwest Florida, it's too shallow. And that's the most daft comment I've heard, because yeah, some of the channels can be, shallow going out there, but once you get out the pass, if you're on the ground, you didn't follow the chart at all. I mean, you maybe trying to go and keep wading, and I remember running around and keep wading with a power rope, like that drew 2 feet, because I didn't live here, I came back and forth, and there was a storm, and I know down there it goes there. I can now sail over an area I used to sandbar it, 30 years ago, but you get out there, you pay attention, and you're good. I mean, we can actually get close enough to keep wading to jump in the water and swim shore.
Mm-hmm.
Sharks, but still. Okay. People always ask me, are there sharks here? I'm like, yes, there are. But no one's didn't yet. So, but anyway, so whatever you try to do to help support getting out there, I forgot where I was going on that one. But just helping people get out and have a good time. But yeah, Island Dreams is, I always go by the rule of under promise and over deliver. So you get on the boat and you're happy, you have a good time. It is a good day sail boat. Go out what I used to do as a club member, I used to sit on Marco, go into Snook End, have a fish down there, have a good grouper sandwich, a nice salad bar, and then head back out and sail back out here, sail back up north to Naples. So things like that. It's a good time. But again, if you have a question or anything, let me know. I will go ahead and make sure. And if nobody wants to do anything, like sometimes my club members are out of town. For the summer, they're not interested, but I do things to the Bahamas, and we're going to be doing trips probably yearly now, where I'm going to vacation there a bit more. I haven't told my wife that yet, so doing transport, and it's like, my captains go over there, and it's nice to have somebody else on board. So having an experienced sailor on board, plus giving you the experience of chart plotting, overnighting, sailing, things like that, understanding how fast, anybody know how fast a cargo ship goes?
17?
To 22. Yeah, and so when you have something that's like 3 or 4 football fields long, and it goes 22 knots. I took a guy back, one of my assistant professors at different school, and he came his first crossing. He just sailed from Nassau to Bimini with me, and then we were doing the crossing, and laying everything out. He's really good at valuing stuff, said watch out for the boats, and he is. And I took my nap, and he said, this, and he pointed them out, and said, what about that one? That was about 1.5 miles to 2 miles behind us. On a crossing, I consider 2 miles close. Yeah. Especially on a cargo ship, because a cruise ship will be lit up. Cargo ships have the little tiny lights on them. That's how they barely follow that law. And we followed one in that went to South Miami, and we got there, and he got to see, that looks big. Oh yeah, that looks big. And we got there. So now we're literally about 300 feet away from it. We're 300 feet away from a cargo ship on the water.
Hopefully not in front of it.
No, it's not. It was going, because we pulled into the South Beach Marina to fuel up, and it was passing by, and then it was actually doing a turn. He turned away. It was crazy. And with lots of experience in the water, and I'm a talker, so I will stop.
Thank you.
Any questions, let me know.
Rob, thank you so much for your time. It was great having you. And in case when you're ready to add a third boat, maybe you'll find it under the World's Best Sailboats, Volume 2, as a gift. Thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Thank you. So lastly, Jerry, do you want to come up here real quick? We just have 2 little awards to give out real quick, or 4 awards? I don't know. I'll let Jerry tell us. I'm intrigued. So I'll be his fan of white. Jerry, take it away.
Okay. Well,